It is my favorite training. It's byoq. You bring the questions, I'll bring the answers. Thank you, everybody. Let's load up the Q&A section. Anything you have, we have Clubhouse going, IG Live. And of course, I think we have over 43,000 people registered for the webinar training. So I appreciate everybody. Share it with your friends. It also is replayed on the playbook. If you haven't downloaded, I had my favorite episode of the playbook this week. It was Sadhguru. Check him out, the Sadhguru. If you're not familiar with Sadhguru, probably the best interview I've ever done. So download the playbook, share the Sadhguru with everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, it is Ask Me Anything, so we're going to get started. I'll get started with the first question. Let's make it happen. What's your favorite lesson from Wayne Dyer? My favorite lesson from Wayne Dyer is quite simple. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. You give meaning to everything you see. If you utilize your higher power thinking, your higher self, in your perspective to become inspired in spirit with the way you see things, it's quite easy with gratitude and forgiveness, accountability and inspiration to find the light, the love, and the lessons. You will be able to change your entire life. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. All right, we'll bring up Anthony Conklin. Come on up, Anthony. What question you got for me, my friend?
David, it's always good to see you, by the way.
Thank you.
No, it's been a long time. It's good to see you. First of all, thank you for your support on being my podcast and all the things you do. It's an absolute pleasure meeting you. I look forward to seeing you again. My question is a little bit on the overwhelmed side. So my business is really starting to take off in a different area. I'm getting more retainer clients, and I'm getting a lot of inquiries, and I keep saying I'm going to follow up, and it just slips through the cracks. So rather than running and going to get a VA, how would you envision trying to prioritize who I get back to when? I feel like I'm getting this tsunami wave of leads, and I just want to make sure being attentive and not letting things spill over. So that's my question. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, beyond getting a virtual assistant or an assistant, what we want is systems, right? You could either get assistants to help you or systems to help you. And those systems, what I would do is categorize things by dependent and independent variables, meaning that if I look at the influx of pipeline activity that you have, what is it that they're asking for? And then if I can categorize those into different solutions or different responses that I can either use an organic or an electronic type of funnel in order to draw them into the area of value that you want to draw them into. A lot of people don't realize, how easy it is that you have this wonderful blessing of too much business. And so you can deal with business in those two different ways. One is assistance, the other is systems. And if you're going to utilize the systems, then you're going to utilize the dependent and independent variable approach. If you use assistance, you're going to have to create some sort of shadowing, working with, and supervising approach where you allow someone to shadow you to understand what that influx and what their desires and responses are, and then working with them collaboratively to teach them what they've witnessed as a shadowing, and then finally supervising them to clean it and polish it so that they're capable of doing the same. This is, Anthony, what's going to allow you to scale either assistance or systems. Does that sound fair?
That sounds great. I heard most of what you said. So I think the takeaway here, Dave, and I'll free up the stage, is let me think about putting a system in place, and then I could probably bring on assistants and give them the system to work with. So that'll help me manage my time better. That was perfect, Dave. Thank you so much. God bless.
You got it better than I did. Great job, Anthony. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, I'm going to take another question from the webinar side of things, but Christina Madrigal, come on up you're on deck. I'll answer this question here. Let's go. How's Miles enjoying the draft? Was he happy with the Chargers pick? We got to get personal on training, but yes, I have a weighted balance in my life. I brought my son. We're speaking here at the Female Quotient. I just got off an incredible interview with Kevin Clayton, the Inclusion and Diversity Vice President here with the Cavaliers. But most importantly, I experienced that son-father time at the draft, and he was extremely happy with Slater from Northwestern as the pick. All right, Christina, you're up.
Hello, happy Friday. So good to see you.
So good to see you.
All right, so today's question. One of the first times we ever spoke, I I told you I was really scared of judgment. I was scared of like really sharing my story because I was afraid of what people thought. So cut to now, several months later, I've grown a lot, I've done a lot, and I'm ready to take what I consider a pretty big next step in terms of vulnerability. So I was hoping that you could give me some wonderful words of wisdom and encouragement to get me over the fear of really putting myself out there. So anything you can say, I would be super appreciative. Thank you.
Sure. No, I think a lot of people have that same vulnerability and the same fear. And we can't find outside of us what we can't find inside of us. So we have to be secure in the fact that we love ourselves, that we love everything about ourselves, that we have the best intentions, and we're going to make mistakes with the best intentions. And that's okay. And I think forgiving ourselves, pre-forgiving ourselves for the lessons we're going to learn and the mistakes we're going to make will assist you and give you the confidence to be yourself and to do the things that you want to do and not worry about anyone laughing at you, scoffing at you, making fun of you, but instead reach for the stars and allow them to applaud you. And it starts with just simple mantras of I am. Right? I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am happy. I love myself. Learn to love you, and you'll be amazed how many people also love you as well. Does that sound fair?
Yes, thank you so much. I wrote down pre-forgive ourselves. That is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Well, you are a beautiful person inside and out, and I appreciate you and love and adore you as well. So you guys are summarizing my statement so well, which is great takeaways. If you're not writing down those takeaways as they summarize what I say, we're making a big mistake. All right, I'm going to take another question online. The incredible Glenn Lundy, the host of Breakfast of Champions, Rise and Grind. He is one of my favorite mentees / mentors. We collaborate together all the time. Glenn Lundy, I'm going to take a quick question on training and then have you come right up. Thank you. All right. Real quick, it says, do you have internships? Yes, please reach out to me if you want one. David@dmeltzer.com. What's the difference between sympathy and empathy? I think it's a key distinction that we need to make because sympathy, people think is empathy. Sympathy is feeling, bad about something or for someone. Well, you cannot be poor enough to make someone rich. You could not be sad enough to make someone happy. You could not be sick enough to make them well. So that sympathy is walking in someone's shoes and feeling a certain way. And empathy is far more. To me, coordinates directly or aligned directly with what I was telling Christina. It's pre-forgiving and forgiving. So empathy is forgiving yourself. And if we can forgive ourselves, you can't give what you don't have. We can forgive others. Remember, you don't forgive other people because they deserve it. You forgive other people because you deserve it. And it's such a nuance, a simple, subtle difference between sympathy, where we feel for someone, and empathy, where we forgive for someone. And I think, understanding feelings and forgiveness are two important aspects of being healed, of being one, of feeling good about what you're doing. And so I want everyone to understand the way they feel, knowing that logic will not change the way they feel, but the action of forgiveness will change the way you feel. So make sure you make the distinction between forgiveness and feelings, and that will also illustrate to you the difference between sympathy and empathy. All right, I am so excited. I had brought Marshall Falk on to carry the load this morning at the Breakfast of Champions. Now I get a guest appearance from Glenn Lundy. What's going on, Glenn? What do you got for me?
Dave, man, always great to see you, my man. I saw you over here on Clubhouse. I'm over in your masterclass, too, on the other side. So I can see your face right now, and I can hear you. I get to see it all. But, man, I just wanted to pop in. And this morning we had Natasha Grano on Breakfast with Champions. And she is a teacher of manifestation, right? Like that's her jam. And I was curious. We talk about the universe, we talk about God, we talk about manifestation, we talk about these things. And so my question for you, Mr. Meltzer, is there a difference between like prayer and manifestation? And if so, what are those differences?
Oh my goodness, I knew you were going to give me a challenging question. This is good. I love it. All right, very good. So here's how it works. to pray is to wish, right? It is to start the manifestation. It's in action. And there's 3 steps to me to manifestation. One is the one that I was talking about to Christina. I call it the law of gravity. And what the law of gravity says is I am happy where I'm at. I'm worthy. I love myself. I forgive myself. All the I ams of the world sit within the law of gravity, that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be at the right place at the perfect time. And if I first have that foundation of being at the right place at the perfect time, then I'm capable of wishing. So when I wake up in the morning, I have my first prayer. May God put at least 10 people in front of me that I can help. That's aligned with my mission to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. So now I take it from the law of gravity, that I'm happy where I'm at, I'm worthy, I'm right where I'm supposed to be at the right place at the perfect time, into what? The law of Goya. The law of Goya is get off your ass. And when you get off your ass, you take action and you go ahead and you state to the world what you want. You do that through words, the way we speak. You do that through your feelings, your emotions, the energy that you put into motion. We do it through your actions, your beliefs. All of these things are part of the law of Goya, of getting off your ass to make that wish happen. You know, giving you 10 people to help is not going to happen if you're lying high on your mom's couch, sick, broke, and dreaming, or what other people think is manifesting. That does not manifest. What manifests is the law of gravity plus the law of Goya. Now you activate your quantum being. You have personality traits, characteristics, obsessions, and addictions. You have a genetic beacon that is out there shooting a frequency that is a calling in a higher frequency, one of thought, one that's higher of truth than of activity of the pragmatic world. So what does that do? That beacon shoots out that quantum energy, and it says to the universe, I am the law of attraction. I will now manifest or call upon what I'm already connected to. I've cleared away the interference with the law of gravity and the law of Goya. I now am capable in this state of allowing things to happen at the right way at the perfect time. And if what is happening is not what I wanted, then I have to have that other currency called faith, that what I'm receiving is greater than that which I asked for. It's a simple mindset. Someone asked me my Wayne Dyer favorite quote, right? Change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. See, I believe I'm happy where I'm at, the law of gravity. I'm going to angle with everything I have. Angle because I'm going to learn lessons, because pain's going to indicate, mistakes are going to indicate, setbacks are going to indicate that I have lessons to learn. But I'm angling towards what my manifestation is. But it only works, in my opinion, with that frequency, that beacon shooting out, that I have faith that I'm going to end up somewhere better. See, faith itself is like a GPS. You can put in your destination of manifestation. You put in your destination of manifestation just like you put it into the GPS. And when you make a mistake, a fallback, a setback, it's going to reroute you. But not only to that destination, what I love about the manifestation GPS is it reroutes you to the best location, the best place. It puts you in a better situation or makes your situation better. This is the process of manifestation, and it's far more than prayer. Prayer is a subset of the process of manifestation. So everybody here, make sure that we're utilizing the law of gravity, the law of Goya, and the law of attraction in order to manifest everything you desire rapidly and accurately. G. Lundy, did I bring it enough for you?
Boom. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. The law of gravity. The law of Goya, the law of attraction, and getting on that frequency. I love it, man. That totally makes sense to me. Prayer is kind of the spark plug, and then setting that destination through our manifestation will help us get there using that power of manifestation GPS. My man. Thank you, sir.
You got me fired up. I love you, buddy. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to take another one online. Caroline Girardi. Or Garrity, you can tell me how I...
Garrity.
Garrity. All right, Caroline, let me take a quick question online and then you're up. Give me 2 secs. Here we go. I had someone ask me, is being an agent a fun job? I'm going to answer this one, actually. Someone's asked me, is being a sports agent a fun job? I have never had a job that wasn't fun. That's because I learned to love everything that I do. I find the light, the love, and the lesson. See, too many people don't realize that there's love in everything, and some things are just naturally or easier to love for some people. But if you take the perspective that you're going to love everything you do, activity you get paid for, activity you don't get paid for, even your sleep, if you can find that light, find that love in everything, you can learn to love taking out the trash. You can learn to love things that you never thought you could even like to do. You can start loving to do it, and you can put that forth, is it worth my time to learn to love it? If not, I'm going to delegate it or not do it. And so for me, I loved being an agent, and I had a great time doing it. But I also find things that I like to do better. And one of those things is Friday trainings for over 20 years, building this content, empowering the world to be happy, and being able to live in a less conflictual situation than being a sports agent, a less scarce or competitive environment, one in which I can collaborate and help and assist and be abundant in my nature. But I always found being an agent fun. I know a ton of people who do, because they have learned to do it and they have varying degrees of how it's naturally something that they love or not. All right, my friend Carolyn, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much, David. And thanks, Jake, for bringing me on and bringing it up on stage. I am such a fangirl. I say this all the time, but David, you are just so amazing with your powerful insights. And thank you for the opportunity for this question. I am currently experiencing a lot of abundance, and I am not saying it's a problem, but sometimes abundance just feels like chaos when, you know, you're not grounded or you don't have enough clarity of where to go with that abundance and how to like kind of navigate around it. I would love some tips on how you do that, if that's possible. Yeah. Caroline Dunn.
Thank you, Caroline. So, you know, a lot of times abundance can be like drinking through a fire hose. And what helps us when we feel overwhelmed or we're not quite sure which buckets to put all of our abundance in, we have to take and look within ourselves to take inventory of our own value. See, a daily activity, I have 5 daily practices that I utilize in scarcity or abundance. In every situation, I stick to 5 daily practices. And, you know, like you guys know, anyone that wants the 5 daily practices, just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. We'll put that in the notes, the chats. david@dmeltzer.com. Email me. I'll send you the 5 daily practices because I talk fast and everyone will go ahead and email me. I didn't hear it. No, I have an exercise for you. Goes through it. Number 1, you got to know your what. You got to take inventory of your what. When all this abundance is coming in, we now can prioritize that by knowing, what do I want personally? What do I want experientially? What do I want giving wise? And what do I want receiving wise? Then know your who, because now we can qualify that by how easily some of this stuff can be taken advantage of by knowing who can help me or who I can help with what abundance is flowing or overflowing into my life. Then, of course, know your how. That's going ahead and saying, what, according to my values of what and who, what am I going to give attention to and intention to create the coincidences that I want according to the values of what and who. So know your what, your who, your how, and then act upon it. Know your now. Utilize Eisenhower's matrix of importance versus urgency. Go ahead, prioritize what's most important to you, and then delegate that which is just urgent and not that important. And then finally, most importantly, the 5th daily practice is to practice getting out of your own way. Practice ending fear. Practice clearing the interference. Go ahead and acknowledge, remember, remind, all of these different things with the unification of self that I am healthy, I am wealthy, and I am happy. And what's going to make me more healthy, more wealthy, and more happy according to my what, my who, my how, and my now. And if you do that, you will get great clarity in a time, a drought, a season of not enough, a season of just enough, and even in the season of more than enough. I hope that answered your question.
Caroline here. Yes, brilliant as always. David, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Caroline Dunn.
You're amazing. Thank you. I so appreciate everybody. Keep the questions rolling in. They're pounding in online, IG, and on Clubhouse. All right, I'm going to take another one online. Drew Cohn, you'll be up next, so get ready with your question. Here we go. All right. Here we go. I've got to read here. Hi, David. Still not connecting with the CEO in New York. Last communication from his assistant. He's booked. I'm requesting a 10-minute call. After 5 attempts and nothing happening, do I drop this or what? This is a perfect circumstance. Ben, this is a perfect circumstance to use the 3-no rule. And so I always, whenever I'm in a situation like this, on the third attempt, I go ahead and leave a message that I really appreciate the consideration, but I need to attend to people that I am doing business with or want to do business with me. If and when you're available, I will always be attentive to the matter. Please call me back. If so, 50% of the time, Ben, people will get back to you when you walk away from them. The other 50% of the time is far more valuable because they'll never get back to you. Why is that far more valuable? Because I have a theory that if you're using a compelling event by walking away, utilizing that energy, then all you've done is expedited the person getting back to you that eventually would have anyway, which has a value, that has a time quantitative value. But the real quantitative value is that the people that don't get back to you never were. They're a closed mind. And remember, we're always seeking to work with open minds because it takes 1,000 times the energy to re-engineer a closed mind of I don't have 5 minutes for you, a closed mind of I'm always booked, a closed mind is I'm sorry I didn't make it, a closed mind is not going to do business with you. It takes 1,000 times the energy. So I go ahead after 3 attempts to walk away, and 50% of the time there's a legitimate reason, and I find that out, and I've just expedited what I wanted to do, which has a value. But more importantly, I've saved myself the 5, 6, 7, 8, or as you say in the question, after 5+ attempts. You are spinning your wheels trying to re-engineer a closed mind. Let's go ahead and use all that energy to find someone who has an open mind. Remember, if you know that question, do you know anyone that can help me? You don't need to have the exact CEO in New York to work with you. You just need to know someone who knows that, and we are experiencing that here at the draft today. I'm trying to gauge my memory, but it was incredible. Somebody knew somebody, and I was like, see, that's why you asked, do you know anybody that can help me? Because they personally were somebody that, you know, may or may not be and sit in a position to help me, but they knew the exact person that could. And once again, all roads lead to coincidence because I put my attention and intention into it. All right, Drew, you are up.
Awesome, David. First of all, it's great to be here. I want to give a quick shout out to Jake because I know that you and I, David, both know how important it is to have great people around you and on your team. And whenever I see Dave Meltzer, I always know that Jake's somewhere close, probably executing on all these awesome projects that you're on. So, Jake, shout out to you. All right, so Dave, I have a quick question. I'll give you a little bit of context. I'm an agency owner, and we're in the business of partnering and being of service to athletes on digital and managing digital, anything digital plus opportunities. My question I want to put yourself in my shoes and maybe help me out. We're a little bit stuck on one project. We have a current NHL athlete who he has a deep passion for baking and being in the kitchen. And we had a couple great viral moments last year in the NHL playoff bubble. It's since then stemmed into a great media response, and we've actually in the process of launching a cookbook. I'll tell you where our kind of hold up and our roadblock is. We have a great deck. We have a great, I think, sales tool for the book. We're having trouble selling the concept to a bigger entity and organization. And my biggest, I think, solution for everything is to just say, hey, let's go ahead and self-publish this cookbook, show our media, develop and prove the concept for everything that we're developing here, and ideally sell it as either a volume 2 or a republish. And so I guess my issue right now is, do we keep trying to sell the concept, or do we just go ahead and try to prove the concept ourselves?
Yeah, so there's a hybrid of your answer, and I really like the question. So because I have books that are self-published and I have books through a publisher, and there's, you know, a variety of reasons to do both. Where you're at right now is that you have inertia and momentum towards that cookbook because of the recipes and the passion that he has towards cooking. So what you want to do is start content around recipes. You don't have to go ahead and even publish the book yet. I think I would intermittently now create content around each of the recipes, build a big community, and then no publisher will deny you. When you have a community of people that you can quantify and say, hey, these 6 million people love his blueberry muffins, right? And this is how many views and downloads and likes, and people are begging for this recipe. We'd like to do a book with all of his recipes. Would you like to publish it? I would start by publishing individual recipes with video content around it in all the different platforms, and then build that community to either make a decision to self-publish it and then prove that market to get to a publisher, or self-publish it and make a decision that, whoa, it's way better to self-publish, or go ahead and shop it and just go straight to a publisher as well. But I think don't miss the step of starting to publish recipes, build a community, and then move to that decision where you're at right now. And I think you'll end up in a really good place, because look, frequency always works. So if it's working within the context of what you're telling me, it's going to continue to grow. And remember the acceleration segmentation of what I teach, right? Things double. So go ahead, look and see, and you can use as a qualifier these recipes that you're poking at, where it's, wow, this one got this many views or this much downloads or whatever it may be, and the speed will continue to accelerate and the numbers will continue to double, and you soon enough will probably, in my opinion, with the community and the energy that this has, the publishers will be reaching out to you like they are to me. And when I was, back in 2013, begging publishers to publish my book, now I'm fielding publishers' requests and trying to quantify the value of that. It's all about that frequency and building your community. Okay?
That's awesome. I appreciate that confirmation. We're 6 recipes in across YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So we're already on the path that you explained. So I think you're right. Just keep pushing manufacturing momentum to get some inbound requests. I think that's awesome. I appreciate your time.
Where can people find those recipes? Let's get a little commercial in here, man.
It's Louis Domingue. He's our NHL guy. So it's just his name across Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We have 6 recipes up. We've generated millions of impressions across all those platforms for the recipe. So it's on the right path. It's just a little bit early. So everything that you said is right on point with our strategy so far. Is we want to build a community, build the audience, and actually take it to the SMS and community, and have recipes sent directly to text message. That's what we want to be able to do, to build this community for the cookbook. But
awesome.
But like I said, David, appreciate your time.
You got it, Drew. Thank you. And number one, thank you for acknowledging my extraordinary team. Jake sitting here 2 feet away from me at the draft. Justin, Colleen, Jesus, Matt, everybody, thank you. Mikey, of course, here filling in, just to name a few of my team members who are participating today. I always appreciate other people who appreciate how lucky I am to be able to work within this collective consciousness. And I love the shout out to community for the SMS side. I use community myself. If you want to join my text community, it's 949-298-2905. 949-298-2905. They'll put that in the chat as well. Remember, 5 daily practices here on byoq, david@dmeltzer.com. I'm going to take a question online. Chris Arnaldo, you'll come up next for your question. All right, here we go. When you're at a crossroads and have all the data, but are afraid of taking a risk, how do you come to center and make a decision? Okay, first of all, let's knock this one out of the park. If you're at a crossroads and have all the data, you're a closed book there. You don't ever have all the data. You don't know what you don't know. There's billions and billions of data points that are going to be applicable to what you think you know. Remember rule number 6, don't take yourself so seriously. You don't know what you don't know. We're constantly learning, and the way that we learn is by making mistakes, setting ourselves back, having pain as indicators to move ourselves to somewhere better by learning a lesson. So if you're afraid of taking a risk, that means we're creating interference between you and what you want. And it's probably you're afraid because you realize you don't have all the data. Because if you knew for certain what to do, you wouldn't be afraid. And so once you come to terms that you don't have all the data points, and 2, that you're just creating the resistance between that lesson and you overcome that by identifying the trigger that's causing the interference, putting you into a fear-based consciousness. And so what we want to do in order to come to center is figure out, is this a need to be anxious, worried, frustrated, upset, inferior, superior, separate, any of these different triggers, resentful, guilty, all of these different triggers, we need to, when we identify them, just simply stop. So stop and breathe. Put yourself back down to center. Remember, why do we want to stop and breathe? I'll tell you, because when you trigger the ego means you're going to fight, flee, feed, or the other F word that Gary Vee uses. And then it takes about 90 seconds, but all the blood leaves your brain. Now you can't use your higher power of thinking. So what we want to do is identify the triggers to put the blood back into our brain so we can be at center and use the higher power of thinking in order to move in the right trajectory towards what we want in that radical humility that we don't know what we don't know, but we're not afraid of making mistakes because mistakes just give an indication that we have a lesson to learn to put us into a better situation or a better place. And that's what we want, is to keep on expanding, growing, and getting better. So excellent question. Next up is my friend Chris. Chris, what do you got for me?
Hi, David. Thanks so much. Jake, thank you for bringing me up on stage. Appreciate you guys. It's always good to be on stage also with Glenn. Love his Breakfast of Champions. My question to you, Dave, since you guys are up at the NFL draft, there's going to be 259 players joining the NFL ranks in the fall. My question for you, David, if Roger Goodell rounded up all 259 players in a room and asked you to speak into those players, what would those Meltzer nuggets be to those NFL players? Maybe not the Raider guy that Glenn's team picked up, but all the rookies that will be in that room with you. What are you telling them?
Well, first of all, I'd start with the 4 basics. I'd say, number 1, be grateful. Right? Be grateful. Let's all make sure that we're utilizing the greatest skill that you've utilized to get here, which is gratitude. You're enabled. You're capable of finding the light, the love, and the lessons in everything. And so my first piece of advice is to continue to say thank you. You wouldn't be one of these 259 people if you weren't grateful. And so I want you to say thank you before you wake up and before you go to bed and when you wake up. I want you to remind yourself, with all the extraordinary things that are going to happen to you, good and bad, that you're grateful for them. And I think gratitude would be the key cornerstone of what I teach. Then I would talk about forgiveness and being at peace. That there's so many chaotic things that would go and do happen. If you think to get here was difficult, to make it happen, to get to where you want to be is going to be exponentially more chaotic. And so we need to forgive ourselves to be at peace, to be at center, to have more certainty in our lives. And then I teach accountability. I talk about making sure that with all the different things that go on, whether you're cut or whether you're a superstar, rookie of the year, whatever amount of money you make, whatever things happen, you're accountable. You are the one, not the owner, not the coach, not the other players, not the media. You are accountable and just need to learn these 2 questions. What did I do to attract this into my life? And 2, what am I supposed to learn from it? You are on a quest for lessons. You want to accelerate, grow, and expand even faster and more accurately than you did to get here. You're on the right path or you wouldn't be here. Utilize gratitude, forgiveness, accountability in order to be inspired, in spirit. Make sure that you know that you are connected to and through the greatest source of power, light, and lessons at all time. And you have these capabilities of gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability to appreciate everything coming through you for others. That you can have an extraordinary impact and journey, and that this is your story. None of you are victims. You don't have to live in a world of not enough, just enough. You can live in a world of more than enough of everything and everyone. And I'd stick to gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. And hopefully they would take those 4 cornerstones and build a foundation to not only make a lot of money, but help a lot of people and have a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. So many good parallels between sports and business. Thank you so much, David.
You got it. Thank you so much. These are great questions, everyone. We got more online. I'll take another one online. But while I do that, Lily Tong, you'll be up next. Get ready with your questions. Thank you so much. All right. It says, can you explain what the spectrum of your signal means in simpler terms? I wish more people would ask me these types of questions because it's not what I say, it's what they hear. And a lot of times people just let, either me speaking too quickly or at a, kind of adverse or kind of convoluted terms, Meltzerisms, that would just confuse anyone. So spectrum of the signal. First, if you have a strong signal, your authentic self, this beacon of the manifestation that I talk with Glenn Lundy, right? This beacon that you have of frequency, the spectrum of yourself, the spectrum of your authentic self, your frequency, your vibration, means who has tuned into that channel, right? It's not what I say, it's what they hear. So, I could post something sometimes and say, I spend a minimum of 2 minutes a day with my 3 teenage daughters. It's a non-negotiable in my life. A minimum of 2 minutes a day. Now, that has a certain frequency or spectrum, but I will have people comment going, that's horrible. You only spend 2 minutes a day with your daughter? No, I said a minimum, and it's also under the philosophy that 2 minutes a day, 7 days a week is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. And if anybody knows teenage daughters, they don't want to spend more than 2 minutes with me because I asked for more. So I made it a non-negotiable to give me a minimum of 2 minutes in order to get the affect of 2 hours on a Saturday by being consistent and persistent in my behavior with the most relative people in my life, the most important people of my life, like my 3 teenage daughters. But those people who have resistance to what I'm saying are not necessarily in my spectrum of signal, that they need or require some finer tuning of the radio station in order to get into whatever I'm saying. Now, other people are exactly in the spectrum, and no matter what I say, they're going to be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And other people are so far out of my spectrum, they're going to say, oh my God, what an idiot. And it's amazing. I have walked into rooms where all I would have to say, let me give you an example of Magic Johnson's spectrum. I was blessed to do a keynote speech at Denny's. Hour and a half, 30-yard stage at Mandalay Bay, 7,000 franchisees. Hour and a half, giving my best, giving my all. I step off stage. The producing person at Mandalay who's been there for 20 some years. I step off, he gives me a big hug pre-COVID, and he's like, oh my God, that's one of the best speeches we've ever seen here. That was amazing. Magic Johnson then steps out, doesn't step on the stage. It's a flat room of 7,000 people, right? And he says, I love pancakes. And the place erupts. Cheering, yeah! That's the definition of knowing your frequency and finding your spectrum. And he has a huge, wide spectrum of signals where he could walk in a room and just say and people, it would resonate with them and move them. So not only do you need to strengthen your signal to a level of a Magic Johnson, but knowing your spectrum of who you're talking to, those 7,000 franchisees, where no matter what you say, it's going to resonate. And it takes a person of lesser signal, like a David Meltzer, an hour and a half to get to 60% of that spectrum, the way that he can just step on stage. So we all work within the context of our own quantum being, our own specialty, to strengthen our signal continuing, knowing our spectrum. Remember, it's not people listening to you, it's understanding what they're listening for. And when you utilize that practice of being more interested than interesting, looking for that spectrum and signal of what those people are looking to listen for, not listen to, you will resonate with more and more, and you will have a clearer message, and you won't have any misinterpretations or miscommunications. You will have a simpler flow that allows you to empower others, hopefully to be happy. Thank you so much. All right, it is time for Lily. You got my question for me?
Yes. Hi, David. You're so inspiring. And I just want to thank Caroline for putting me in. So my name is Lily, and I'm actually asking this question because I want to help my dad. He's a 57-year-old retired corporate executive of a multinational corporation. And my dad fell into a deep existential crisis 2 years ago when he retired because he felt like he no longer had a purpose in life or something to look forward to other than old age and death. And my dad has always been my role model, and it hurts me to watch him feeling depressed and lonely all the time. So my question for you, David, is, for people who have had a fruitful career and are now retired in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, how can they continue to find purpose, meaning, and fulfillment in their life? Thank you. This is Lily, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Lily. So I don't believe in retirement. I believe in repurposement. right? You got to repurpose. And one of the ways that we repurpose, I'm going to give everyone, get your pens out, get your pads out, get your laptops out, whatever you're using to retain, to reposit information. Here's the best advice I give you. If anybody feels empty, alone, interfered with, limited, any of the feelings of resistance, that we are creating interference between that great purpose of light, love, and lessons that is always connected through us to others. It's very simple how we change it. It's go do a good deed, right? Let's make a habit of doing a good deed. So when we're repurposing ourselves, no matter what age we are, when we're repurposing ourselves, and we may not have a clear direction in what that repurpose is because we spent 20, 30, 40, or 50 years doing the same thing, and it's very difficult to transition into something new and feel the same about something new as we did about what was routine or old, especially because of the aggregate effect of continual data input, as we know, will create and form these quantum memories, these activations of personality traits, characteristics, obsessions, and addictions. It's very difficult. But the one trump card that we have is the truth vibrates the fastest. The one trump card we have is that the truth is in the love and the giving of what we do. The truth of what we have is the best way to repurpose, to make our purpose greater than our pain, our emptiness, loneliness, lostness, whatever it may be. The best way to do it is go do a good deed. Go pick up trash, go walk around, go smile at people, go help, go volunteer, go feed people. Do whatever it is that you believe is a good deed. But the truth vibrates the fastest and goodness vibrates the fastest. Remember, those thoughts that you have vibrate faster than the speed of light. You can transcend time by doing good. And it works no matter how low you are. Anxious, depressed, even suicidal, which you should seek professional help if you're that depressed. But beyond that, go do something good. Go help somebody. I promise you, your father, anyone around you, when we start making a habit of repurposing ourselves into goodness, into the ability to be of service and of value to others, even if it's not interacting, if it's simply smiling at them, picking up trash, putting a cart back at the grocery store, letting someone cut in front of you in line, whatever it may be, go do a good deed and you will be repurposed back onto the track of the highest frequency, the truth, which is love. I appreciate you, Lily. Thank you so much, and please pass on my message to your father.
Thank you so much, David. I will.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to take another question online. Rebecca, you're on deck. Give us another question. Rebecca Newmeyer. Hopefully I said that right. Thank you, Rebecca. Here we go. What are the best open-ended questions when beginning the sales process with a new lead? Someone asked me this. I have a private coaching group that's a mindset group and one that's a business group. And it's funny because this one comes up in both groups. What's the best open-ended questions when beginning the sales process with a new lead? Simply ask them what they do today pertaining to what you're trying to sell. Ask them, so what do you do today for long distance? What do you do today for a car? What do you do today for leather? What do you do today for toothpaste? What do you do? Then you ask them, what do you like about it? Then you ask them, what don't you like about it? Then you tell them, hey, or you ask them, would it help you if that toothpaste was brighter or softer or tastier or cinnamon? And as you lead them to the qualities, the capabilities of what your solution, service, or product does, you can then get that final question. Can you see any reason you won't want to try this? Can you see any reason that you won't want to move forward? Can you see any reason that you won't want me to help you? All of those things lead with a simple template, which once again, I have this template for everybody. Reach out to me, david@dmeltzer.com. Just ask for the RIC document. All this stuff's free. My book's free. I'll sign it, send it, ship it to you, pay for shipping, audio books, video, whatever you want. david@dmeltzer.com. But go ahead and get the RIC document. Remember, what are you doing today? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Would it help you if? Can you see any reason why you won't want to move forward? That is it. And if you have been able to quantify and articulate the quantifiable value greater than what you're asking for, you'll have a 90-some% yes rate. The other percents will be because of emotion, time, or your misinterpretation of value. It's always those three things. All right. Thank you for that great question. Next up, as I said, Rebecca. Sorry, Bo Hawkins. You're in the hole, buddy. Bo Hawkins, you up.
Hey, David. I actually got a question for you because I know you're surrounded by great people. I work with some of your team like Jake. He's a legend. And you posted a great video the other day that you're the aggregate of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And just, I'd love to hear what would be a technique that we could actively do daily to seek out better people to surround ourselves with.
Great question. That's not a quote from me. I've learned that over the years. Of course, I always want to make sure most of the quotes that I have come from something else, but that one in particular have been said for years and years. The best way to aggregate around ourselves, to find the right people and the right ideas to aggregate around ourselves, is to be more interested than interesting. We have a great capability of accessing people today. So many different platforms, so many search capabilities that allow us to find people that sit in a situation that we want to be in. And if your 5 closest people in your life are not people that represent a person that or a situation that you want to be in, then you shouldn't be around them for the aggregate of your time, right? So we should allow those people to separate themselves or fall away in their varying degrees and spend the majority of our time with people that sit in a situation that you want to be in. So, for example, my mom is my mentor on how to be a parent. I try to spend as much time with my mom. She's one of the kindest, unconditional people that I've ever met. Where another person, like Blaine Bartlett, who's on the World Business the World Business Consulting Consortium, he's in his 70s, incredible business acumen. I want to be in a situation like him, to have all the situational knowledge experience of understanding business at the level that he has ascertained. So one of those people. So by utilizing and asking those people for help, we can aggregate and level up so much quicker than ever before. So be more interested than interesting. Know what situation you want to be in. Find the people that are sitting in that situation and then ask them for directions. The easiest way to get to where you want to be is to find someone that's already there and ask them for directions. That help you out, Bo?
Thank you so much, sir. Always full of wisdom. Love it.
Love you, man. Thank you so much. I'm going to take another question online. Frank Sinopoli, you are up after I take this question here. Law of Goya, new to me. John Asseroff taught me that. Love it. Never heard of it. Thank you, Sensei. Any great books about Law of Goya that I can read while still contemplating getting off my ass? Yes. You can read Inner Size by John Asseroff, talking about exercising the mind and learning about how the Law of Goya intertwines with the Law of Attraction. You could read Connected to Goodness, which I'll send you for free. David@dmeltzer.com, pinned in the chat. My text community pinned in the chat. These exercises of, 5 daily practices in RIC, right there in the chat. But go ahead, read John Asseroff's book, read my book, and you'll well be on your way of learning about the Law of Goya and getting out of your own way to blend persistence with patience, allow things to happen by getting off your ass. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to take Faith James. You're up.
Hi, David. Thanks for bringing me up, and thank you, Jake. So this is so good, so grateful. My question for you is the idea of stepping into gratitude, and I completely believe in that, and looking for ways in which we can bring other people for whom it's not an easy guest to start to see the other side. So thinking about like the law of polarity, right? If you think, oh, I have no money to pay my mortgage, this COVID situation is bad. How do we, as friends or colleagues, invite them over to see the other side of this law and not have them rest in the negative side only, because we know they both coexist equally and present? Thank you.
Absolutely. Faith, what a perfect name to ask this question, because we have to have faith in others the same we have in ourselves. What you resist persists. So we never can tell people what to do. We very rarely can teach them what to do. But remember, just like children, my kids don't listen to me, they watch me. And if you want someone to learn and understand, then surround yourself with them so they can watch you. You don't need to tell them, you can answer questions, but when we allow others to watch and understand us, they then can take on not only the pragmatic side of what we're doing technically, whether it's the what, the who, the how, the now, and the why, or being a student of your calendar, or being kind to your future self, but they actually will take on your consciousness, your frequency, your energy, and they'll start seeing things differently. They'll start feeling differently. So the best way to do it is to put those people that we want to align with us into a situation where they can watch us. So invite them to a mastermind, invite them to hear you speak, invite them to conversations, invite them around the similar energies that you're around, and allow them to feel the difference, to see the difference, to learn and understand the difference, so that they're attracted to the difference, that they want to learn more and take on that frequency and energy and understanding, instead of creating resistance by telling them what they should or shouldn't be doing, or trying to teach them or tell them. Instead, allow them to absorb what you're doing by watching you and participating with you. Does that sound fair?
Oh, it absolutely supports. So it's the idea of just being it, and letting them observe, letting that energy sort of ooze into their pores and their scenarios. Love it. Thank you, David.
You got it. Thank you so much. All right, let's take another question. We got so many online. All right, here we go. I'm going to try to nail as many of these as we can. How do you deal with guilt when cutting those who bleed you off? So there's a great chain of bleeding, a variance chain of bleeding, that says if somebody bleeds you, cut them off. But if they feed you, feed them. And in varying degrees, the less they feed you, you can allow them to fall away. But guilt, ego-based consciousness, a trigger, will come about when you allow somebody to fall away, or don't invite them, or actually fire them from your life. Well, the way that we deal with that and to resolve that is, one, when we get to center, you will realize that you yourself will take accountability. You will have no guilt. So when you tell someone, look, this is about me. This is the way that I feel. I don't feel good when I'm around you, or I don't feel good working with you, or I don't feel good. This is not a good situation for me. And therefore, this has nothing to do with you. I am going to remove myself in varying degrees from this situation. You will not feel guilty if you take accountability and say it's your problem. It's a lesson that you can't deal with or don't want to deal with at the time, because it's creating interference in your life. And at this matter, there's more people that are feeding you, and you want to spend your time, just like with open minds, not closed minds, with people that are feeding you, not bleeding you. But if you take accountability, it will help you deal with the guilt. It will relieve the trigger of guilt in order to keep you out of the fight, the flee, the guilt, all of the ego-based consciousnesses that you want to stay out of. Next up, we have our last question from Clubhouse. Tammy Burgess, what do you have for me?
Hi, David. I thank you for inviting me on stage, Jake. I wasn't really going to ask a question. I was just kind of listening, but I guess everything happens for a reason. So I, years ago, saw where the industries were going, and to create job security, I combined healthcare and IT. It's been quite a journey, and it pays well, but my heart's not in it. And I'm looking at basically just doing a life pivot and starting anew. And most of my family and friends are like, are you out of your mind? You know, think about it. But I've been thinking about it for a few years. So how do you really know when to jump?
Great question. A lot of people have this question, whether it's creating a side hustle or they're not passionate about what they're doing anymore. My strategy is to lean into what I'm doing, to try to reinvigorate and find, if I'm getting paid well to do something, I want to find the passion, the light, and the love in it. I want to look at it differently. I want to do better at it. And if I can, it's only going to allow me to have more money and more time to go ahead and test out other things, put other resources towards time and money, in other words, towards some other thing, something that may end up being of a greater economic and passionate, purposeful thing that I want to do. I think you diminish your capacity if you jump ship too early. I think giving it a second try and leaning in to try to create more time and resources, more time and opportunities from what we're doing by looking at it differently, learning to find or appreciate certain things within it, while I have that extra time and opportunity to go ahead and facilitate the financing, funding, or time requirement to build something that won't be such a delta between a high-paying job and a startup, or a high-paying job and an idea, or a high-paying job and something new. I think when people lean into what they're doing and find the light, the love, and the lessons, two things happen. One, they definitely find that they don't want to do it anymore, no matter what the cost is. Or two, they get better at what they're doing, which just gives them more time and options either to stay and do that or find something else to do. So the best thing right now is lean in, try to acquire the time and opportunities and options that exist by looking for the light, the love, and the lessons, and you will be far better off and appreciate what's going on instead of dissipating and diluting what you've already built. Does that sound fair?
That does sound fair. Thank you.
You got it. All right. Woo. We'll take one more question online, and then we are calling it a Friday. It's byoq. Bring your own questions. I'll bring the answers every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Been doing this for over 20 years. So reach out to me if you want the 5 daily practices or the RIC document or my book. David@dmeltzer.com. 5 daily practices, RIC, or my book. I'll sign it, send it, ship it to you. Ebook, audiobook, whatever you want. We're on it. So there. All right, last question. You give your cell phone number out all the time, and maybe 5 people have called you. Why do you think that is? Because as much as people want help, the number one piece of advice I give to people is ask for help, because most people do not have the radical humility to ask for help. I'll give my cell phone number once again, 858-688-3294. Call me. Don't text me. I get a lot of text messages. I may not be able to get back to you so quickly, but nobody calls me. I do this all the time, and people are afraid to ask for help. If you want help, if you want me to help you, call me. 858-688-3294. All right, I'm here at the 2021 draft with the incredible athletes. It's noon in the Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're at the top of the hour. All I have for everyone is great gratitude. Please email me, david@dmeltzer.com, if you want the 5 daily practices, if you want my RIC document or my book, david@dmeltzer.com. I'm here every Friday. I'm every day. You can catch me on IG Live or Clubhouse, wherever you want. All you got to do is find me. But remember, most importantly, everyone, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Have a great weekend. Take care.